and a warm welcome on behalf of CK Birla Hospital's CMRI once again to this Facebook Live session. But today, before I start, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all my lovely viewers for keeping their trust on us, keeping their faith on us always. So, now by not taking much time, let me introduce to you all the eminent consultant and who is the speaker of this day, the ENT consultant, Dr. Arjun Dashgupta over here, who has over 25 years of experience. So, welcome, sir. And
Thank
now
you.
I would like to start our session, and our today's topic is should we, is it the right time to go back to our ENT doctor's chamber in this current scenario? So I would request you, sir, to kindly lighten up on this subject, please.
Right. Okay. Now we are 8 or 9 months into the pandemic. The pandemic that we haven't experienced before, our fathers haven't experienced before, our grandfathers haven't experienced before. So this is something that really is something new for us, and we are struggling. We are falling. The doctors are struggling. The people are struggling. We are stuck in our home. But at last, I think we can see there is a light in the end of the tunnel. So, one of the major countries of the world, the European Union, the UK, the Great Britain already has commissioned a vaccine, and they are going to start their work on from the next week or so. So has the America. They have started giving the vaccine cards for the where they can take the first vaccine, second vaccine. So they are also a few weeks away from the comments coming from Norway or the European Union. The vaccine is just a few away. So is this good? It's a huge good news. I mean, this is something that we are looking forward to. But that does that mean there's a closure? Probably not. Let's not pin all our hope on vaccine. Vaccine is going to help us in tiding over the situation over this pandemic. It's going to be another tool for us, for common people, for doctors. The mask, hand sanitization, and distance is going to stay the mainstay of preventing having a COVID infection for the next 1 or 2 years, we will say. So that's going to stay. Let's not, the vaccine is going to help, but the vaccine doesn't help. You just get a vaccine and you protect yourself from the world. It doesn't happen that way. The vaccine is just another tool, and everywhere, everybody, when a certain amount of people of the society are vaccinated, and some people are already immune from having the infection, then we can think of something called the rate falling or growing some amount of resistance. So let's. This is a huge. There is a huge unknown in this whole thing, but we have to depend on what we already know. What we already know is the mask, the sanitization, and the distance, and that we have to keep our eyes open, and we have to practice that, especially the doctors. Now, why am I saying all this? The reason I'm saying all this is now we know that there is a huge toll on what we call the non-COVID scenario of the pandemic. So from the last 9 months, we are shouting COVID, 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 COVID. We are hearing the ICU beds running out, the respiratory distress, the symptoms. The people are not getting smell, they are stuffy nosed and fever, not responding, and they are getting admitted to the hospital, and they are being diagnosed as COVID. But there is a huge that before this February, March 2020, huge disease load, the non-communicable disease and the communicable disease, like the heart disease, like the kidney diseases, like the infective disease, like tuberculosis, like cancer, and they haven't gone away. And usually the epidemiological studies that has been done before has shown that during an epidemic or a pandemic, the non-diseased part of the burden of it goes up. And we have seen the same thing. And the papers are coming up from China, from America, from Europe. At the beginning, we have the data of February, March, April, May, June. We are seeing steady rise of death. I mean, death as a parameter. I mean, not everybody is going to die. So the other diseases are going out of hand. If you ask me personally, personal experience, we are seeing horrible nightmare of diseases. uh, like like we haven't seen from our medical student days. Like we are seeing tubercular glands fungating out of the neck. We are seeing cancer spread everywhere else in the body. We are seeing horrible uh, consequences of the disease that's been there from utter neglect. Utter,
So, because of winter, this kind of a diseases
no, no,
occurring
no,
or
no,
something
no.
like that?
This is the main thing. I mean, I know. I mean, obviously, the whole world is speculating, but for us, the reason is very clear. It's just simply the patients are not coming to the hospital. They are afraid to come to the hospital. They are keeping their diseases to themselves, and they are suffering. And when the complication hits them, from personal experiences, we know that the patients we have seen in January, February, mild disease, we suspected cancer, we advised biopsy. The patient went underground, slept for 8. I mean, I can't blame them. I mean, the whole pandemic situation is such. Everybody is scared to go to the hospital. And they came in last month, where the cancer has spread all over the body, and which could have been easily prevented. I mean, like ear, nose, throat cancers, if detected early, are very easily treated. So we are fighting against it, and we slowly have to tell people that, look, the COVID is there, and we are here, and we doctors haven't we all are COVID warriors now. I mean, we all have seen COVID day to day basis. We
Definitely.
we
We
have seen
all
COVID,
are attending
but
our hospital, and as
absolutely,
doctors are also. So, you want to mean, sir, to come out from the COVID
absolutely,
fear and take
absolutely,
care of their
absolutely,
actual original
absolutely.
problems, whichever you are having.
The COVID is far nearer to you than you think. You already, I'm sure the people who are listening, they have their relatives, they have their friends, they have their near and dear ones, they have their colleagues have already suffered from the COVID. So you know about it. You know that most of them doesn't cause any symptoms. You know the simple measures you can take to prevent them from getting a COVID, and they are getting a mask wherever you go. You keep a distance, and you wash your hands. And these simple methods, if you practice in day-to-day life, you will be able to do COVID. Especially in CK Birla hospitals, they have taken an enormous length to prevent people. So when you come in, you get security checked, you get screened, thermal gun screening. You are given a hand sanitizer.
Absolutely.
You are given a special kit with face mask
Yes.
and face shield and mask and gloves and sanitizers. You go there, and there is distance between two people sitting. I mean, the strict distance is maintained, and the waiting time, they have really put their importance on keeping the appointment. So the appointment is spaced such a way so that you don't wait too much to see a doctor. You go in and go out. The wards are looked into. The non-COVID patients who are coming in are getting COVID tests to see whether they, until they get a COVID test, we kind of secluded them. And once they get a COVID test and it becomes positive, if they become positive, they go to the COVID ward. If they become negative, they go to the general ward, and it's working fine. So people really need to come out of their cocoon, come out of their shell, and start visiting the doctor with their everyday problem. The problem may be blood pressure, maybe sugar, maybe hearing loss, maybe sinusitis, maybe snoring, maybe cancer, maybe voice problems. You really need to go to see your doctor right now. I strongly think that.
Absolutely, sir. I'm agree with you, and I would like to know that I know we all know that in your department there are three doctors. You three of you work together. So why don't you just share a few words how you three of the doctors are working together in this current scenario? How you are treating patients?
We are three doctors. I am Dr. Arjun Das Gupta, Dr. Chirajit Dotto, and Dr. NVK Mohan. We are working for the last 20 years together. We worked in England together for 6 or 10 years, and we have for the last 10 years in India, we have worked as a team. We are unique as a team all over India, probably because the same qualification, same age, and we have our own super specialty interest is unique. We have maintained that we take the distances very carefully. Um, the basic thing is I protect. We teach each and every patient as COVID positive, and that should be done for the next 2 years. And I take precaution that I am COVID positive so that you don't get it from me, I don't get it from you. So this is the basic technique, the technique that we use for our experience with HIV, with other hepatitis B positive patients. We treat what we call universal precaution. So the universal means universal for everybody, and precaution is for precautions. So we have to practice that for the next 1 or 2 years, because where one hidden case of COVID is there, asymptomatic or otherwise, or symptomatic, we
We
don't know.
never know.
We never know. So we have to treat each and every patient as COVID positive. So the patients who are coming in are screened. They have their face shield and they have their face mask, so we are protected. We wear our gears, we wear our face masks, we wear N95, and we wear surgical gowns and gloves. And the confined space is an important thing. So we usually try to keep our doors open, obviously taking permission of the patients, so that there is air circulation inside. And if there is the confined space, now we are knowing more and more that the confined space, the limited aerosols generated by this COVID from the infected patients, from when they speak, when they cough, that's the most important thing. So if there is airflow going in and out, then the risk falls drastically. We keep a distance, so we keep a distance of at least 6 feet between us and the patient, so that when the patient sits there, he tells us, we write and things down, we take a details history. When the time of examinations come, we do the examination, taking all the we change our gloves between procedures. We use a high power light sources, so without touching the patients, we can go into the cavities. The ENT does with cavities, the nasal, the mouth, and the ear cavities. We can have a look and we can see what's going on, and then we can do the test. And not only that, us and all the support staff takes the same precautions. They use the PPE or the surgical gowns, they use the gloves, and they use the headgear, they use the masks. And so when we protect the patients and we protect us, then only we can stop transmitting each other and we break the chain. So this is the hospital. So I don't think there is anything we haven't taken a single day off in the last 8 months from our duty. And so we kind of treating each and every patient as COVID positive, and this should be done for the next few years, a couple of years, till the community spread of COVID is confirmed that it's now disease is controlled, and there are authorities for that who are measuring it, who can say that now it is controlled. Then only we can go back to the normal. So that's the most important thing.
Absolutely true, sir. But I personally would like to know, maybe my viewers will also like to know that if you have seen any recent any case, patient came to you with a life-threatening disease and you have come up with a salvation. If you have seen any recent,
The recent one, what we have seen is what we said, that there was a guy who came with very early suspected cancer. There was a vocal cord had a very small lesions, and we thought that it may be cancer. So we told him to do a CT scan and we will go for a biopsy. And then COVID struck us, and you can't blame him. The whole world goes haywire. So this guy comes back in October with respiratory problems. He's having trouble breathing. That alerted us, and we saw that the cancer is more or less has occupied the whole airway. That's impeding him to go airway. So we taken him on emergency to alleviate and establish an airway, what we call a tracheostomy. So we make a hole in the air, so bypass the whole area, and that's done as an emergency. And it wasn't needed. I mean, these patients shouldn't have needed a tracheostomy if he got treated in the first place. But we had to do it. It was a life saving. We had to do it. And when we did it, we found that the whole anterior neck was filled up with cancer. So we struggled, and it was one of the most difficult cases we have done in our life. We have to cut through all the cancers to reach the airway, and we put the tube in, and the patient could breathe. Thankfully, he's doing well. Now he's getting treatment. Now he's getting radiation. Now he's getting chemotherapy. Now he is going to settle down. But if he just probably just can't blame him, but if people have given him the hope and the courage to visit us in 2 months' time, then probably we could have well avoided all these things, and he could have led a better life. And we also have seen the tuberculosis disease is as old as last 60 years, 70 years old disease, 100 years, I would say. So tuberculosis is endemic in India, and everybody has it, and it's a killer disease. And most important thing is it's treatable. It's one of the most treatable diseases that is available today. You take a five-drug combination, which is given free by the government. You just take them for 8 or 9 months, and you're cured. But we are seeing tuberculosis that spread to the neck and has made a hole in the neck, and there are tumors from tuberculosis. And that thing shouldn't have gone that far. Now, hardly these cases, tuberculosis cases, needs surgery or anything else. But now we have to operate on them just to get rid of this horrible mess that's fungates to the eats to the skin and things. They should have just got a five drug for 8 to 9 months, and they would have been cured for life. And now we are seeing that this horrible mess of tuberculosis, cancers, sinus. We are seeing that has gone into the sinus infection, going into the eye and destroying the eye. I mean, these are, if you are living in Himalaya, I can understand, but living in a 2020 in a metropolitan city, this is not acceptable. I mean, this is a very sad for us. I mean, we do understand, but we have overcome our fear, and we are doing day to day, um, day to day. We are joining our duty, and we are seeing each and every patient. And you should be able to do the same. Please come. We are here, and let us help us to help you.
Absolutely. So I hope you understand how important time is. You have to arrest your own problem in a very early stage because COVID should not stop you to be healthy, feel healthy. So I hope you have all got your answers like me. I have got all my answers which I was looking for. So now I would request sir to finally give some messages to our viewers so that they can really come up and they can really show their fighting spirit by not having that kind of a fear anymore.
The NT has been thrust into the one of the COVID is since people came to know that the COVID patient cannot smell. We take this challenge we have taken this challenge, and we have diagnosed hundreds of COVID cases.
That's interesting. I didn't
Best
know
of it.
that, sir.
Yes,
Kindly share,
yes.
please.
The one of the first symptoms of COVID is you cannot smell anything,
Yes, yes,
and
absolutely.
you get as a that look, I'm cooking fish, but I can't smell it. And the next thing we say that please get a test done, and usually they come back positive. And That's one of we as a ENT doctor, we deal with smell, but that has been thrust into the very limelight because of COVID. And nobody was really interested about whether somebody had a problem with smell. I mean, problem with hearing, problem with vision, everybody is concerned. But problem with smell, it's hota hai, chalta hai kind of thing. But now people are concerned and people are really, and we have been thrust into the very first thing. Also, with the COVID situation, some of them need surgical airways where we ENT people have come in, thrust in because it is an airway disease to start with. And we doctors get exposed to the high viral load in the upper airway. So that's okay. We are not shying away from our responsibility. But the simple day-to-day thing, like the hearing loss, you're not hearing, then these things can turn serious if you can't neglect anything. You think it's nothing, but it can be something. You have problem breathing at night, you have a blocked nose, you are snoring heavily, and that's waking you up many times. You cannot, you wake up with a very tired face and you just can't concentrate. You can't hear, your ear is having infected and they are having discharge from the ear. You are having sore throat, your voice has not changed for the last 2 weeks, more than 2 weeks. Please don't ignore them. Please don't ignore them, because we have come so far in this medical science and they are very easily treatable, and we will treat you. Please, but the diagnosis is the most important. Don't stay at home. Come and let the doctors treat you at the earliest.
Well, thank you so
Thank you.
much, sir. I'm sure this session, they are finding this session very interesting and they have all received their required information from you. So, till now, we are here. Dr. Arjun Dashgupta is here. The whole ENT team is here to take care of all your ENT related issues. For any other information related to your problem, you can always contact us in our helpline number, which is 033 4090 4090. Till then, I, Debaroti, I would like to say, wish you a happy life and healthy life ahead. Thank you so much.